Oh, I got the COVID. No, I don't. I'm fine. Let's jump into another LSAT game. I am looking at, as should you be, the second game of PrepTest 3 from December 1991. We worked the first game, which was not super easy, kind of a grouping slash mapping hybrid. As I thought about it, I don't know that mapping was a super good fit for the last game. I guess it was more of just kind of a two-dimensional grouping game, which is funny because as I'm looking now at this one definitely looks like a mapping game. So again, let's go ahead and jump right in. This is questions 8 through 13, second game of the first section of the December 1991 LSAT. There are exactly 7 houses on a street. Each house is occupied by exactly one of 7 families. K, L, M, N, O, P, and R. All the houses are on the same side of the street, which runs from west to east. Okay, never mind. This is not a mapping game. This is just a basic order game, so that's very good news. Let's go ahead and get our elements down. K, L, M, N, O, P, and R. So that's 7 elements. And it just says we're running left to right. I think I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or actually it said west to east, but same thing for us. And I think that's it for the setup. Pretty classic order game setup here. 7 elements for 7 spaces. I mean, sometimes if you don't have west and east in your head, you might just want to jot down west to east there. The Rutans do not live in the first or last house on the street. So let's just put that right on the diagram. R is not first or last. The Khans live in the 4th house from the west. And so that is 4, just like you would expect here. And, that just gives us. K is 4. Love that kind of clue. The Muirs live next to the Khans. Okay, so M is either going to be 3rd or it's going to be 5th here. And P lives east of the Khans and the Muirs, but west of the Lows. So basically, that MK block, however it is, we don't know what order they go in, they are going to be somewhere before P, because east in this case is kind of after or later, and then P itself, they live east of both K and M, but west of L. And so L is going to have to be sometime after them. That kind of limits us on what's possible. Let's go ahead and get into our deductions. Of course, neither P nor L can be anywhere before M and K, and the earliest M and K could go is 3, 4. The latest is 4, 5. So it is possible if M goes 3rd that P could be 5th, but of course L could not be 5th no matter what, because the earliest we could do would be something like M, K, P, and then L. And so L can really only go 6 or 7. In fact, I just might go ahead and jot that down. L is either 6 or 7. In the same way, P actually can't go last because L is going to have to go later. And so really, I think P is just going to end up going 5 or 6. And then even R, a lot of deductions, really. R can't go first. Oh, wait, but could end up later. Yeah, I was going to say I thought R had to be 2nd or 3rd, but I actually don't think that's true. I think R could be 5 or 6, because it could be something like M, K, R, P, L. To me, that looks possible. So yeah, R is definitely limited, but not so limited that I'm going to jot something down on the diagram. Looks like O is a least restricted element here. K is done. R has some limitations. P and L definitely have some limitations. M has some. Yeah, O is the only one that doesn't come up at all. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that O actually just can go anywhere, but it means without any deductions, we're going to hope for some specific questions where they just tell us where to put O. Otherwise, O is probably going to end up being last placed in any of these scenarios. Let's go ahead and jump into the questions. We're always looking for kind of a pick a rule or a pick a clue question to come first so that we can just take a rule and eliminate any answer choices that violate that rule. We don't have that here. 8 and 9 are just general questions about the game as a whole. So we're going to skip those and we're going to get into number 10. If the Muirs live west of the Khans, then the Rutans cannot live next to both blank. Well, we know where K is. If the Muirs are west, that really means to the left, so they're going to have to go 3rd. That gives us a little more space to move with P and L, so 2 of them are going to go somewhere in 5, 6, or 7. R could go in those spaces, so, well, in 2 of those spaces, right? And R could go 2nd. So let's see, could R be next to both K and P? So that would look like that, R, P, L, and that's definitely possible. I'm going to cross off A. Could R be between L and P? And so that would be something like P, R, L, which seems possible to me, so I'm going to cross off B. Could R be between M and P? No, that's impossible. It's got to be C. M obviously is on this side. P cannot be on this side, so there's no way for that to work out. All right, very good. Number 11 is next, the next specific question. If the Newmans live immediately west of the Cons, which of the following statements must be false? Okay, so if the Newmans are to the west, that means M is going to have to follow the Cons instead. It's going to be to the east, in which case we know for sure it's got to be P and then L in 6 and 7. R cannot be last or first, and so R is going to have to go second there. And like I said earlier, our least restricted element O is the one that ends up being placed last in this case. I mean, it's the last placed of our elements. Obviously, O is actually going first there. All right, so we figured out the scenario entirely. Must be false. O lives next to N. That is not true, right? So circle A. Again, we want to be in the habit of picking an answer and moving on. We do not need to check all 5 choices if we have found the right choice on games. Now, I don't say a lot about arguments or reading comp on this channel. Maybe I will someday, I don't know. But I will say that you would never do that on reading comp or arguments. You always check all 5 choices there. But for games, once we have found the right answer, it's the right answer. Even if we're wrong, we want to be in that habit. Number 12, if the Owens live east of the Muirs, which of the following statements must be true? So you can kind of tell how this game is working now. They're always telling us something about M or K. Someone lives east or west. It does not say immediately to their east, and so it just has to be somewhere to the east of M, meaning it's going to have to go somewhere kind of later on in the game. In fact, what this tells me is that it's impossible to put M 5th right now, because then there wouldn't be enough room for P, L, and O. And so the only way for this to work is if M goes 3rd, but then O, I think it could go in any of the 3 slots. It could be O, P, L, could be P, O, L, or it could even be P, L, O, as far as I can tell. The only other thing we can figure out here is R can never be first, and so R is going to have to go second, and then that only leaves N to end up going first on the block. So what must be true? K lives east of the Muirs. Well, yeah. That's it, right? Oh, now I'm a little suspicious. K lives west of Rutan. No. O lives west of the Lows. It could be true, but it doesn't have to be true. Okay, so it's tough when you get 2 A's in a row. I just told you don't check all the answer choices, but like all of a sudden, you know, the hair on the back of my neck goes up. All of a sudden, I'm a little suspicious. But yeah, you've just got to push past that. Once we're doing this, when we find the right answer, it's the right answer. Move on. 13, another specific question. Love that. So this game is definitely easier than the first game. Now, again, the first game in this section was not so difficult that if you had started with it, you would want to kind of stop and move on at some point. But it does turn out that this game is easier. Between the 2 of these, though, 2 relatively easy games to start off the section with. If O lives east of K, so now O is going to be somewhere in front of K, which of the following pairs of families must live next to each other? It doesn't feel like we know very much. I don't love the idea of setting up O in each of 1, 2, and 3. But I don't know. Just feels like there's a lot possible here. Oh, wait, to the east. Oh, never mind. Okay, never mind. So that's actually just the exact same scenario as number 12. O is going to have to go in one of those 3 slots. It's going to have to end up being N, R, M, K. In which case, who has to live next to each other? K and P? No. L and O? No. M and N? No. N and R? Yes. And so number 13 is D. Okay, very good. So again, particularly in a game like this where it's not just left and right or before and after, but east and west, you just want to be careful about remembering which direction is east, which direction is west. Only general questions left, numbers 8 and 9. So is this a 6 question? Yeah, so 6 question game. So again, one of the other things that was nice about the first game in this section is not super difficult, definitely easier to medium game, but also had 7 questions associated with it. And so now that we also have an easy game here, we will have locked down 13 questions. Even if it took us a little more time on that first game, I'd imagine the most amount of time you would have spent on these two is about 20 minutes, and you should have 13 right answers for your trouble. And so that's pretty good. Anyway, number 8, which one of the following families could live in the house that is farthest east? Well, we've seen L and O so far. We know it can't ever be R, so we would definitely cross off E. Neither of L or O is listed here. Of course, it can't be K and it can't be M. So between N and P, well, our deduction said it can't be P, so it's got to be C. So number 8 is C. And number 9, which one of the following families cannot live next to the cons? I'm pretty sure it's going to be A. Yeah, actually, that's a deduction, right? So K and L can never be, you can also see on this side, of course, can never be next to each other. And so that's got to be A. Lots of A's in this game. We never like that, but it's just the way it goes. C, A, C, A, D. Cacad. Cacad. Yes, we got it right, right? C, A, C, A, D. Okay, not so bad. Pretty simple game, relatively fast. How much time are we looking at? Yeah, I guess I kind of discount 25%. So if that took us 12 minutes together, I would presume about 3 minutes are just me randomly talking about stuff, and you can probably get that done in about 9 minutes. So I would rate this at a definite 8 or 9 minute game, maybe even a little shorter, but again, there were 6 questions, so that takes you a bit of extra time. Order game, 1-to-1 ratio, a good amount of deductions from the beginning, good game. So I hope that was helpful to you. We are all done for today. I will continue working through all 300-ish of these prep test games and any other games I can get my hands on. If there's a game you would like me to move up in the order, you're working on prep test 50 and you want me to take a look at that, I probably won't get there for like a year, maybe more, because this is slow going, but I'm happy to move that up and work on that now. With that being said, yeah, enjoy the video and I'll see you all around.